Alright, y'all, it's part 4. Let's talk about it. When we last left off here, Sentinel Prime, also known as Sentinel Magnus, constructed the most well and elaborated plan along with Shockwave in order to get the Autobot codes to Project Omega so that Shockwave could actually create more Omega Supremes for the Decepticons here. But unfortunately, this plan didn't go so well here. Yes, they managed to assassinate the entire High Council of Perceptor, Alpha Trion, and Ultra Magnus, and then Sentinel, bringing in his elite guards, saved the day, convincing all of Cybertron that he was a true hero. And then he took over as Sentinel Magnus and branded Optimus Prime, the Dinobots, and anyone who associated with them as traitors here. Despite the sheer fact there is some skepticism among them about why he would do such a thing here. And you know, why would they be working with the Decepticons when they've been so loyal to their cause for so many years here? However, right now, considering the situation and Cybertron's vulnerability in a way, they do not dare to question it. Or at least not, well, right now, if you guys get what I mean here. And so, we would actually pick up back on Earth, where the Decepticons Megatron, Lugnut, Blitzwing, and Starscream are engaging the Autobots, hoping to capture RC. And so, with that being said here, let's actually begin here. The Dinobots perform a protective circle around RC here, igniting their weapons in flames, while Optimus, now picking up Ultra Magnus's hammer, gets ready to battle, telling his Autobots to be ready for anything here. And so, Megatron starts off with a shot from his fusion cannon, which causes everyone to dodge here. However, Grimlock utilizes this opportunity to blast Megatron out the air. However, Megatron, learning from his mistakes here, actually transforms, gets out the way, and begins to bombard everyone with his firepower, giving an opening for Lugnut to use his nuclear punch and Blitzwing to free some of them here. However, Jet Charge actually emits a boiling hot water. Yes, I'm giving him that ability because, again, Transformers Animated always had abilities basically for, you know, their names and stuff here. So I think Depth Charge being able to manipulate highly dangerous boiling temperatures of water definitely can help here. And it's a chaotic counter to Blitzwing, who has ice and, you know, fire. So basically combine those two, what do you get? You get some boiling hot hydro pump like water here. So he basically thaws out the Autobots in an instant of them being frozen here. Meanwhile, Prowl and Jazz begin to engage Starscream, utilizing their better, you know, combat skills and maneuverability. They're actually able to take Starscream out of the air quickly, and with a little help from Swoop, keep him grounded here. This kind of just leaves Megatron in a situation where he's just simply fighting against Optimus, Black Arachnia or Alita here, Grimlock, RC, and Ratchet is making sure that everyone is staying safe here, while Bulkhead, him, and Depth Charge engage Lugnut and Blitzwing. So, with Bumblebee as well here, excuse me. So basically, everyone has their opponents here, and they're actually doing well here, with Grimlock being able to not only disarm Megatron of his blades, but allowing Optimus to basically get in a very smooth hammer swing, similar to how Ultra Magnus was pretty much able to like slide beneath Predaking's tail, excuse me, and simply just wail on him with the Forge of Solus Prime here. So basically, like that, except it's Optimus with the Magnus hammer. So yeah, they actually do manage to overwhelm the Decepticons pretty quickly here. However, one very distinct change here. They pretty much hold them down and, well, disable them from transforming here, thus capturing the 4 biggest Decepticons here. And so when Megatron says that he will not be held here, Grimlock points his fire sword right at Megatron's throat and says, "I could always take your head." To which Megatron, seeing the situation that he's in, seeing that he is damaged and beaten, ultimately surrenders here. And so Optimus feels good about this, thinking he's about to just end the war here. It's over. They can finally go home, and then something else also happens within Optimus. He realizes something. Sentinel. Oh, he still has to address that, doesn't he? And so this is where Alita simply comforts him, saying that understandably taking something like power from Sentinel is going to be no small, you know, or feasible feat here. They're going to have to plan that out as well here. And so this is where Starscream actually begins to suggest, well, why don't they just take their illustrious Dinobots to Cybertron and just muscle their way in? To which this is where the Dinobots kind of turn their heads to Optimus like, we could do it. Like, he ain't wrong. But again, it's still Starscream. So it's just like, we gotta kind of consider what he's saying. But we don't trust what he's saying. You guys get what I mean? And so this is where Optimus says, no, we're not going to muscle their way in here. However, this is where Jazz actually receives a transmission from Flare Up here. Now, Flare Up is a character that honestly I feel like is going to be a very interesting pivotal point here for the rest of the story here. And she's kind of Jazz's little, I guess you could say, spy on Cybertron here, despite her hot temper. And so this is where Flare reports that, well, hey, y'all are branded as traitors. To which Jazz says, what do you mean traitors? To which Ultra Magnus, or Sentinel Magnus, Sentinel Magnus, excuse me, pointed out that they simply fled Cybertron with RC and pretty much taking Project Omega back to the Decepticons. To which Jazz shows her, well, that can't be right, because we have the Decepticons in, you know, their clutches. They have the Decepticons here. To which Flare Up kind of gets a little bit annoyed here, like, ugh, of course you guys have them. I mean, ugh, it's so obvious, isn't it here? To which Grimlock actually begins to look at the transmission and looks at her a little interested. Like, why does Hothead Lady, or why does Lady get angry? To which Flare Up says, don't question me right now, Dinobot. To which Grimlock actually looks more amused than angry at her temperament here. And so, with that being said here, they have to cut off the transmission due to the sheer fact that Flare Up does need to get back to, well, Ultra Magnus, or Sentinel Magnus. I'm probably going to say Ultra Magnus a lot. I'll try not to say it for the rest of this video. I'm so sorry. So, Sentinel Magnus begins to assemble his forces. The elite guard of Flare Up, Warpath, and the Protectobots, along with Jetfire and Jetstorm, will all go to Earth with him so that they can confront Optimus Prime and get the Project Omega codes back, no matter what. To which Warpath says, is this really a good idea? I mean, we're going to planets with our best forces. Shouldn't some of us stay behind? To which Sentinel rolls his eyes and says, fine, you can stay behind and have Team Athenia with you. To which he says, Flare Up, you, Jetfire, Jetstorm, and the rest of the Protectobots are with me. No objections and no exceptions here. So, with that being said, they board their ship and, using their transwarp technology, teleport halfway across the galaxy into Earth's atmosphere. Meanwhile, back with the Autobots here, they actually managed to pin the Decepticons, or at least put the Decepticons in an area where they feel like they can't escape here. However, just before they are able to turn their backs, Megatron tries to use his fusion cannon, to which Grimlock and Optimus, both spotting it in time, clash their weapons against the opposite ends of the fusion cannon, and this blows it up on Megatron's arm, damaging it. And so, it's kind of like, yeah, you shouldn't have tried it. Just, ugh. And when I tell you his arm looks worse than what he had before, like in the beginning, yeah, that arm's going to need some serious repairs, or is going to have to get replaced in the future. So, yeah, Megatron's not doing so hot here. So, with that being said here, this is where the Autobots begin to take any and all weaponry off the Decepticons here. However, this is where they also have to focus on something else here. And this is pretty much reported to them by Captain Fanzone. And the fact that the Decepticon, or the Autobots, excuse me, have re-entered their airspace here. To which Optimus decides to take himself, the Dinobots, Jazz, and Depth Charge, and actually, you know, go to confront Sentinel on this one here. And so, what would happen here, right? Sorry would obviously be with Bumblebee, Bulkhead, Prowl, and Ratchet and RC. To which she was wondering, where is her dad? She still has to get to her dad. She still needs to find them. And so, Sorry makes a bold move to actually go ahead and confront the Decepticons. Luckily for her, Prowl is able to spot this here and actually goes with her, considering he is formidable enough to keep her safe, and Megatron is injured while the other Decepticons are simply just, well, they are disarmed, so they're pretty much just prisoners of war at this time here. But he does bring Bulkhead along with him, just in case he does need some extra muscle here. So with that being said, they do find out where Professor Sumdac is being kept here. However, he would still be guarded by the Decepticons Blackout, Striker, and Cyclonus, meaning that this is actually going to have to be a very secure and serene operation here. Now you might ask yourself, why would Megatron tell them the location? Is he leading them into a trap? And I'm going to say this here. Megatron isn't the one to tell them. Starscream is. Because again, he is the easiest to break, in all honesty. And that is very unfortunate. So, Starscream out here snitching on the Decepticon cause. So, it kind of is what it is here. And with that being said, what happens with Optimus and the rest of the Autobots? Well, Sentinel Magnus walks off the ship, pompous, arrogant, and gets punched in the face very swiftly when Grimlock sees him here. To which he says, "Are you serious? You still punched me even though I didn't do anything." To which, this is where Jazz says, "Grimlock, just let him talk for a minute, please." Or, punch him after he finishes here. To which Grimlock says, "Okay, gladly." To which, where Sentinel actually stands up here, this is where Flare-Up and the Protectobots, along with their new aerial bots, both walk out here. And to which, when they lock eyes, both Grimlock and Flare-Up both have a sort of different reaction to each other. Grimlock can sense her aggression in her Fiery's nature, and so this kind of draws him to her in a little bit here. And Flare-Up is a little bit agitated that she has to be here at the moment, but again, can't help but feel such a, I guess you could say, lack of compassion for the situation that she's in right now. So basically, Flare-Up's pissed she even had to come in the first place here, and then you have Grimlock, who's actually likes her aggression. And so, the conversation will unfold like this here. Optimus Prime, you and your Autobots are going to be arrested for crimes against Cybertron and delivering RC into the hands of the enemies. To which this is where Jazz pretty much speaks up and says that would actually be Optimus Magnus to you. To which he says, "Excuse me?" And this is where Jazz plays the genuine holographic message to the rest of everyone here, or at least to Sentinel and the rest of them here. And so, seeing this, Flare-Up actually looks at Sentinel and says, "Well, you heard him. He's acting Magnus." To which, this is where Sentinel points out that she's a traitor. "You've been knowing this the whole time. Ultra Magnus would never give such a traitorous Autobot such a position here." And to which, this is where Jazz says, "Really? And what makes you think Optimus is a traitor here?" To which he says, "It's obvious. You ran to him." "Yeah, because I had my orders, Sentinel. Something that you always follow." To which Sentinel says, "Not anymore," as he's calling the shots. This is where Optimus gets in his face with the Magnus hammer and says, "Not anymore." And this is where the hammer seems to respond to Optimus by glowing in electricity here. And so when Sentinel begins to draw his blade, or looks like he's about to reach for it here, the Dinobots tower right behind Optimus, giving him a look that says, "I dare you. Go ahead. Give us a good reason right now." To which he simply looks at the Protectobots and the Aerobots and tells them, "Get these traitors arrested immediately here." And this is actually where the Protectobots combine into Defensor. And so, yeah, this actually causes massive destruction as they swing down on the Autobots here. Depth Charge simply tells Flare-Up, you have a choice here. You can be on the right side of history, or you can be on the wrong side here. And so, this is where Flare-Up actually does think about it for a minute, and she has her flamethrowers ready, but she can't decide just yet here. However, this is where Optimus and Sentinel also engage with each other here. Optimus, utilizing his axe at the moment, does go toe-to-toe with Sentinel Magnus here. And with, Sentinel being augmented with a Power Master-like armor here, yeah, he is actually able to overwhelm Optimus pretty quickly, Optimus isn't, doesn't have his wing blade upgrade or anything. He doesn't even have his own Power Master upgrade yet. And so this actually puts Optimus on the back foot for a large majority of the fight here until Jazz tries to step in. However, he's blocked off by Safeguard here. And so Deck Charge steps in to help Jazz, utilizing his abilities to counter the fire and tornado powers of excuse me, of Safeguard here. So yeah, they're on the back foot of this battle here. And the only one that can really turn it around is Flare Up here. But let's talk about who Defensor is fighting. Obviously, the Dinobots. Grimlock and the Dinobots both start off in their robot form, being overwhelmed by Defensor, as again, this is the first combiner they ever fought here. And so Slug simply looks at his leader and says, Dinobots, no mess around. To which, this is where Grimlock says, yeah, Dinobots, transform and attack. To which all of them go into their beast forms and they just start going ham on Defensor here. Slug rams him right through his, well, not through it, slams right into his leg here, causing him to buckle over, while Swoop bombards him from above with his fire breath, and Grimlock chumps on one of his arms, slamming the combiner into the ground yet again here. Defensor gets up and then utilizes a combined weapon to start shooting at the Dinobots, who are actually, dodging here. Meanwhile, Flare Up is a little conflicted, and this gets her agitated here. What does she do? What can she really do at the moment here? And before she says it, a blast comes right at her on accident here, as the Dinobots were maneuvering. However, before she's hit, Grimlock puts himself in front of the blast and cuts it clean in half, shocking her and making up her mind immediately on who she is going to help. Softening up slightly, telling the big guy thank you and that she owes him one, and proceeds to launch her flamethrowers right into the face of Defensor, blinding him here. This is where the Dinobots all join in, utilizing their fire weaponry and blasting Defensor. And so this does overheat the Cybertronian till he has no choice but to combine in order to disperse that heat amongst the 5 of them here. And so, one by one, they each get taken out by the 4 of them here. And that is where we have one other thing here. Optimus is now at the mercy of Sentinel Magnus here. Or so he thought. Before Sentinel can actually come down with a finishing blow here, he gets punched right in the chin yet again. But this time it's not one. It's a full 3-piece combo with a full-on roundhouse kick from the Dinobot leader. To which he looks at Optimus and asks him, is BossBot okay? To which he says, yeah, BossBot is fine. To which Grimlock says, he could handle it if you want. I can take him. To which Optimus then starts utilizing the Magnus Hammer and says, let's do this together for Ultra Magnus here. And so, with that being said here, Optimus and Grimlock both begin to jump Sentinel here, who utilizes his Power Master armor to actually, well, try and keep away here. He's focused more on power and not speed here, and they're actually able to perform their own tag team combos, considering they've trained together, and Optimus is starting to become a lot more, I guess you could say, willing to hurt and harm Sentinel here. So he beats on him relentlessly here, along with Grimlock getting his signature punches in the face here. So Optimus and Grimlock both tag team Sentinel to the point where Safeguard manages to use a tornado to separate them and tells them that right now they have to retreat. Everything's going wrong, but everything will go according to plan soon. So with that being said here, Decepticons, Sentinel and his forces have no choice but to retreat with their tail between their legs. And this is where the Dinobots simply look at Optimus, telling him that he's proven himself to be quite an effective leader, and that Grimlock would follow him anywhere. To which Optimus says, thank you, but right now they need to figure out some things here. Sentinel just branded him a traitor and attacked him. However, Flare-Up says, yeah, and that's not the only thing he's been working on. For some reason, he and Longarm Prime have been, well, working on advancing a different program. Something for Omega Supremes all over, or a more Omega Sentinels, if you will, here. So, Flare Up, or, Optimus here, then goes back to relay this information to RC. However, she's not there. Instead, she returns with them a moment later with the likes of, Sorry Sumdak and Professor Isaac Sumdak here, who, well, now has to pretty much explain Sorry's entire origin. So that goes like in the original, and then they still have to patch up their relationship. The second encounter, or not the second, I think this is like the third encounter with Headmaster here, goes a bit differently, with him again trying to mess with one of the Dinobots here. However, Grimlock simply grabs it and crushes it into a ball. Now, he's still alive, but again, it's going to be a while before they manage to get him out here. So, he's alive, but not well. Now, where would I leave this chapter off, right? We would head back to Cybertron. And this is where Sentinel is furious. He was betrayed by Flare-Up, branding her as another one of the traitors on Cybertron here. And so, this is where we have to focus on another thing. Him and Shockwave. He tells Long Arm Prime, if you will, here, to make sure those Omega Sentinels are ready. For when he does here, he'll destroy the entire world that Optimus and his Autobots call home here. But as a matter of fact, no, I'm not going to end it off here. I would actually head back to Earth, where we are picking up the Autobots, getting to know each other, with Grimlock and Flare-Up seeming to be more drawn to each other due to, well, Grimlock being infatuated with her aggressive nature, and Flare-Up actually liking the sheer fact that he's a lot more bolder and that he is willing to approach her than most other Cybertronians. So, with that being said here, they do form a little bit of a relationship at the moment here. And this is where I would also have one other thing here. Flare-Up gives Optimus the design protocols for his Power Master armor. Something that she feels like he would be able to use. And so, this is where Ratchet, Bulkhead, and Flare-Up both begin the process. However, Grimlock asks them for one more thing. He wants 2 more Dinobots. And that's where we're going to leave it off here, you guys. Please comment down below, like and subscribe and share with your friends. This is Legendary Grimlock, and I hope you guys have a blessed day.